Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to draw some lines on this paper. We're going to draw some straight lines. We're going to turn those straight lines into shapes. First thing you need to know though is hold your pencil very loosely. A lot of kids like to do this thing where it looks like it makes the pencil look like it's made out of rubber. That's how lightly you want to hold your pencil. Basically, you just want to use the weight of the pencil itself on the paper to draw very light lines. Here's how you draw a straight line, mostly straight, without a ruler. So I've done two dots on either side of this paper, or on either end of this paper. When I put my pencil here, I'm going to put my eye over here and very quickly draw a line as close to that dot as possible, but I'm going to lift my pencil up off the page, and then I'm going to put my pencil on this dot and finish the line going this way. So, pencil here, eye over there. That's a fairly straight line. If you put a ruler on that, you would see that it's fairly straight, or at least straight enough for our purposes. Now I've rotated the paper 180 degrees, and I'm going to put two more dots here and here. And I'm going to do the same thing. We're just practicing drawing fairly straight lines. Now the other thing that you don't see is that only the tip of this part of my pinky and the pencil are actually touching the paper when I do this. The other thing is, and you can't see this because it's off camera, is that I'm drawing with my whole arm starting at my shoulder. So everything is off the page except that part of my knuckle and the pencil. So again, pencil here, eye there. Draw it as straight as you can to that line. Put your pencil on this dot and bring it back over like that. You want this line very light. The number one rule about this assignment is I don't want you to erase anything. So even if it's not perfectly straight, you might want to go over a couple of times. You can see there's a couple of lines here, and that's okay. We're just trying to get a very quick composition done using very light lines, and then we're going to go over the lines later to darken some of them in for the composition, and we'll get to that in just a minute. The other thing that I want you to do on here is I want you to frame everything. So every shape on this page is going to have a frame. And again, I've done this in class all 5 periods today. I just wanted to get a video for the folks who were not here. And so again, I'm going to go a little bit more quickly on this project than I did in class, because I've already covered this. This is just a review. And also for the people who were not here today, who didn't get a chance to see this live. So now I've got a frame, very light lines. If I held a ruler up to these, you can see they're not perfectly straight, but they're close enough for our purposes. And I just brought another ant onto the table. So again, you can see they're not perfectly straight, but they're close enough for our purposes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a series of geometric shapes. I like to start out with the triangle, and I want to make it as large as I can. So I'm actually going to put a dot up here, a dot down here, and a dot way over here. And I'm going to continue following the same process. I like to rotate my page so that I can see over the top of my pencil. So again, I'm just going to very quickly draw these shapes. It's okay if you miss a couple of times, just don't make a huge mess out of it. As I mentioned in class today, I'm not as concerned that your drawing looks exactly like mine, as long as you understand and have followed the process. So again, every single project, every single object is going to be framed like this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing some overlap. So again, I'm going to do 3 dots, connect the dots. This is being done very quickly. What I don't want you to do is I don't want you to try and go like this. You can draw that way, but for our purposes, we want these lines to be done very quickly. The more loosely that you draw this, the straighter your lines are going to be, and that might sound a little bit off, but it's actually true. As long as I'm going fairly rapidly, I can draw some pretty straight lines. I'm just going to do a couple more shapes on here. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 4 dots, and I'm going to make this one really skinny because I want to go through here. So here again, straight lines, connect the dots. I'm going to do this one inside, just like I framed everything else so far. And all of these are angular shapes. We're also going to do some curved shapes. But let me get a few more shapes in here. And again, these are fairly arbitrary, meaning I'm just kind of playing around with the composition, trying to figure out what's the best way to get a really interesting design on here. I'm going to go a little bit, let's see, how are we going to do this? Let's do this one way up here. So this is going to kind of be a skinny one, the frame on this one, because I want to make sure I go past that area there. Please remember that as you're watching this, you can pause the video at any time and rewind it a little bit, or even rewatch it. So now we've got a bunch of shapes on here. There is one other type of shape I want to show you. This could be part of a trapezoid or part of a triangle. I'm just going to take it right off the page. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm filling up the page with these shapes. Same thing over here on this corner. This could be a triangle, could be part of a trapezoid, could be a parallelogram, could be a rhombus, if you know what a rhombus is. On Google Classroom, I posted a link that describes all these various shapes that I've been talking about. They're all mathematical terms. So the other type of shape you want to do are circular shapes or oval shapes. I'm going to do one over here in this area, sort of an oval, because I want to overlap here and here. Notice how I'm practicing first, and again, only my knuckle is touching the paper. So I want to bring it right in here, and I'm just slowly bringing my hand down to the page. Then I want to get an overlap here, so I'm going to go in here. And these are just approximate, or I'm ballparking it, is what they call it. Not super precise. Notice how the thickness changes here. It's a lot thicker over here than it is over here. Perfectly fine. I'm going to rotate this around, and this time I'm going to do like an arch or an arc. And again, it's a little bit fatter over here than it is over here. Perfectly fine. I just want you to see and understand the process. One other very large arch that you can do is you can actually go really big here. I'm just trying to see where the best place is to put this. So I'm going to come through here and over here. And I've slowed down just a little bit on this so that I can compose this layout with a variety of these kinds of shapes. Rotating the page around, I see that I can do another one down here. And I'm doing it in the opposite direction. That's probably enough objects on the page. Maybe one more here. Just because I like what happens when we go off the page. Now what you're going to do here is you're going to decide which of these shapes are in front and which ones are behind. And let me show you what I mean. These are some of the samples that we did this afternoon. So you can see this shape right here it goes behind this one, then it comes over here and goes in front of these two, and then it goes behind that piece, so that it kind of looks like a chain link fence, but not with round links. Okay, so I've got everything overlapping and interacting with each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start coming in here, and I'm going to start deciding what's in the front and what's behind. Since this one goes across here, I'm actually going to come from here, and all I'm doing now is my hand is resting on the page, and I'm very carefully tracing over, right over my lines. And I want this one actually to go behind that one, but I want this one to cut in front. So watch what I do here. I'm going to do a little bit of the opposite here. It's sort of like a puzzle. So I've decided this one's going to come through here, and even though I haven't finished drawing this area, now I can go in and darken in this area. And all I'm really doing is I'm applying a little bit more pressure. And actually, I'm applying quite a bit more pressure to give it a dark line. As this puzzle starts developing, you can start making decisions like this is a little bit too tight in here. So I'm going to lightly extend it out just a little bit so that there's more of an overlap. Since this one goes in front here, I'm going to have it go behind the oval here. So I'm going to bring this around here, and I'm going to stop on this part. At this point, I'm only interested in where it overlaps here. Since it goes behind here, I'm going to have it go in front here. These are all decisions that I'm making kind of on the fly. I could have done it either way. I'm just trying to make for an interesting layout here. And so every time I go behind on one side, I went behind here, I went behind here, so I went in front on this one. And I'm going to go ahead and extend these lines down till it gets to here. And again, all I'm doing is I'm tracing my existing lines very carefully. This is the part you don't want to rush, because two things will happen. You'll make a mistake and you'll go really dark right through something, and your lines are going to be permanent, at least for the time being. Yes, they could be erased, but we're not going to erase anything at this point. In fact, that's one of my rules. I don't allow students to erase so that I can see the mistakes that they make. The critical thing here is that I'm taking a moment to see how everything interacts. So there's a really big arch here that goes through several objects, including this really large triangle here. And this triangle here is also overlapping. It's sort of confusing in here. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to take this one and go through here to here, just to establish that this triangle is in front of that triangle, but only over here. So here again, this big arch is kind of confusing in here, so I'm going to go ahead and take this down and make the decision that this arch is in front of this part of that triangle. Like this. However, because it's interesting here, I'm going to bring this down so that again it sort of wraps around like a chain link fence. You can sort of fix things as you go. It's still a little tight in there. I'm not super happy with that area. But these things are just practice at this point. I'm more interested in having an interesting design, but also I'm more interested in the fact that you're following the directions. We can do multiples of these because you can see it only takes up a couple of pieces of paper and a pencil. So I'm going to stop that there, make this frame come down here, and continue this here. And even though I missed the line there, that's okay. I'm going to follow it through here and there. This oval's going to come around here. I'm going to go ahead and draw this one here. Since it goes in front of this one, I'm going to have it go behind this one. But as it continues through, since it went behind here, it went in front here. And again, all I'm doing is applying a little more pressure. All of my shapes have very fat frames on them. So that except for down this one here. So again, this one came in front of that curve. So we're going to have this one go behind the skinny part of this frame. Notice how I stopped here. I haven't decided which one I want to go in front. This piece kind of came through here and went in front. So I'm going to go ahead and take that down to this one. Bring this back up here to connect to this one here. This one's going to wrap around to the back side and come back over here. So the link on this one is really only in one place. Right here. Goes over there, but it goes behind here. So it's sort of a loose link. I want this piece to come up in front. This one comes down. Since it goes across the front here, I'm going to bring this one in front of it here. And again, these are all decisions that I'm just making on the fly for what I think makes for an interesting design, interesting layout. So this one goes behind here, this goes in front of that one. I think I'm going to bring this one across here, and then this one's going to continue down here. This corner's here, but it's going to go in front over here, the large frame around the whole picture. And then this will link, chain link like this. Since this one went in front of that one, I'm going to have it go behind this one and in front of this one. Carefully tracing around. And I'm just alternating which one goes in the front and which one goes behind. Like a big puzzle. Goes behind here, but in front of here. So I'm going to continue this line through here. But it's going to go in front of this one. So each class today did one of these. I wasn't looking for students to do it exactly like mine, but let me show you what some of the other ones looked like from the classes today. This was period one. Period one got the farthest along. So the next step is to shade in the background, and we're going to shade the background in with the side of the pencil like this. So that was period one. Look at the difference between period one and this one that I just created. You can do variations on this all day long. Some of the shapes are going to be similar, some of the placement's going to be similar, but the size of these various shapes are in different places. Here's another one that mostly I did less objects on this one in period 4. A couple of trapezoids, triangles, overlapping. Period 6. On this one, I did these shapes that are coming off the page after this. I demonstrated to the students everything else, and I just basically added a few more, and I suggested to the students that they didn't necessarily have to copy mine as long as they understood the process. So on the next video, I'm going to show how to shade so that we get to this step here. And then there's probably a couple more steps after this one, but we'll get to that later.